Good evening, all participants in USA, and good morning, all participants in India. Today, I have a great pleasure to share my knowledge with you on the topic of Kamma, rebirth, and sufferings. And this is my agenda for today's lectures. I will start with Kamma and law of Kamma, and then classification of Kamma, result of Kamma, death and rebirth, including how they take place and influenced by Kamma. And I will end my lecture with rebirth is suffering and how to stop that sufferings. In today's lectures, I would like to try to deliver my presentations in a straightforward, clear-cut, and I will use simple vocabulary. So in the end of this lecture, I hope that you can get better understanding on these topics. So let's start. I would like to start with the first question. Was it Kamma? Literally, Kamma means actions or something that is done. And according to Buddha teachings, any kind of intentional action, no matter it is physical, verbal, or mental, is regarded as Kamma. In this case, whatever you do, there should be some kind of cetana or intentions that follow by Kamma or action. It may be wholesome, good, or unwholesome, bad. It depends. And major root cause of Kamma are ignorance or avijja and cravings or tanha. Particularly in the case of unwholesome Kamma, it is conditioned by these two causes. Kamma occurs naturally. Every intentional action will give rise or lead to a corresponding result in either the present or future lives. It depends. Actually, Kamma means only cause, not effect. Whatever you encounter in the side, no matter it's bad or good, it's the result of Kamma that you have done in the past. In fact, Kamma does not end with death of present life. It goes on and on because Kamma is impermanent, continuously changing, and leave a potentials into the course of life and continuation of beings. So it is a concept of what is Kamma. Kamma and its result. Result of Kamma is called vipaka, that will appear whenever conditions are favorable. It may take a short time or a long time, it depends. And in this diagram, you can see that the present vipaka or results is the cause, it's the result of what you did in the past or past Kamma. And the reaction to this present vipaka become new Kamma, and then lead to new vipaka in the futures. New vipaka can be good or bad, depending on reaction to present vipaka. If you react with wide considerations or wholesome cetana. It leads to wholesome new kamma and wholesome new vipaka. On the other hand, if you react it with unwise consideration or unwholesome cetana, it leads to unwholesome new kamma and then unwholesome new vipaka. So this is a concept of kamma and its result vipaka. Let me show you some examples, which is quite obvious. When you eat delicious food, and this is the present result of past good kamma that you have done in the past. If you eat spoiled food, this is present result of past bad kamma. In this case, food is just natural object, but consciousness and feeling of food, smell, and taste are considered as the result. And then your reaction to this will be new kamma that will give rise to new result. In this case, if you have attachment or upatan to delicious foods, then your reaction is unwholesome. If your reaction is to see true nature of food, that food contains of carbohydrate, fat, protein, carbon, nitrogen, something like that, and just eat for surviving, not for deliciousness. In this case, your reaction is wholesome and will bring a wholesome result in the futures. Kamma can be classified in many ways. Let me explain in details. Firstly, classify according to result of kamma into the first one, wholesome or good kamma. These action which give good result. And in general, there are 10 methods to do wholesome kamma, what we call tassa, punya, kiriya, wattu. And due to good kamma, we acquire what we call punya, which is merit or worthy reward. For example, you will be happy, healthy, had good reputation, something like that. In combination with kusala, which is karmically beneficial consequence. For example, you will have a better rebirth in the futures. Obtain punya and kusala will lead to results mostly in the present and future lives respectively. The second one is unwholesome or bad kamma. The action which give bad result. And in general, there are 10 ways of making bad kamma, what we call tassa, kakusala, kamma pata, containing 3 physicals, 4 verbals, and 3 mental actions. These actions will give bad result. In addition, avoidance from these bad kamma is considered as good kamma as well. Kamma can be classified according to functions into, firstly, reproductive kamma, which determines cause of life and future birth. For example, tassa punya kiriya wattu and tassa akusala kammapata, which I have mentioned earlier. Second, supportive kamma. This kamma does not produce its result, only reinforce or maintain result of reproductive kamma. For example, your fitness exercise. If you make fitness exercise regularly, you will enjoy your happiness, which is the result of reproductive karma longer or better. Thirdly, obstructive karma. This karma as well does not produce its result, only weakens or delay result of reproductive karma. For example, your illness that will weaken your happiness, which is result of your good reproductive karma. Sorry. The last one is number 4, destructive karma. This karma terminates result of weaker reproductive karma and produce its result. For example, accidentally sudden death or nibbana or nirvana, that will cancel all karma that you have done in this life. Karma can be classified according to priority of result into, firstly, worthy karma. This karma is very serious and powerful. For example, in the wholesome case, attainment of jhana will lead to rebirth in Brahma worlds, in heavens. In the case of unwholesome, killing mother or father will lead to rebirth in the lowest sphere of hell or niraya. The second one is death proximate karma. If there is no worthy karma, then death proximate karma will take action. This is potent karma, which you remember or done shortly before death. And this will determine immediate rebirth. If both worthy karma and death proximate karma are absent, then habitual karma take actions. This is constantly performed and remember and what a form of karma in your life. For example, you may be have a fond of playing gambles or playing sports, something like that. And this will determine your rebirth if number 1 and number 2 are absent. If all 3 karma, as I mentioned, are absent, then the last one, reserve karma, which is accumulative and cannot be included in the above 3, and will give result when all the 3 are not present. So they are divided into hierarchy of the priority. Karma can be classified according to type of taking place of result into, firstly, immediate effective karma, which lead to results in the present life. Second is subsequently effective karma, which will give result in next life. The third one is indefinitely effective karma, which is karma that will cause result in some lifetime after next life. However, this karma cannot be classified in advance. We have to wait until arising of their vipaka, and then we know what is that karma. In addition, there is a special kind of karma, so-called defunct or ahosi karma. This is karma number 1, 2, or 3 that is unable to give result due to unfavorable conditions. For example, if your result of bad karma is to get a car accident, but if you stay for a long time in your house, so the condition is unfavorable for car accident. In this case, during that time, we call this karma refund or hosi karma. Let me explain more about refund or hosi karma. You know that karma is effective as long as there is continuation of death and rebirth, so-called samsara. However, it becomes refund or ahosi karma if one escapes from samsara by passing into nibbana. A good example is Anguliman, which is a great thief and murderer in Buddha times. Anguliman killed many people before he met Buddha, and his karma would send him to reborn in the sorrowful spheres. However, after meeting Buddha, he became bhikkhu, and his arahantship closed the door to future rebirth and suffering. Although he still had to bear terrible consequences with while he lived, Anguliman was attacked by relatives of his victims, and he was badly hurt. He then crawled back to Buddha and passing into Nibbana. So this is called ahosi karma, the karma that will not have result because one has been nibbana. He will never rebirth or reborn again. Here comes law of karma, which follows the principle of cause and effect. That is to say, where there is a cause, there is effect. No effect occurs without a cause. And working of Dhamma, are under a natural law. Nobody can interfere with the law, not even Buddha himself. Buddha could not save his relative in Kabilavastu from being destroyed by King Vittutapa. After having saved for 3 times, in the 4th time, Buddha could not prevent Sakayan from result of their karma. Because in previous existence, they had thrown poison into a river and killed a large number of living things or living fish or animals in the rivers. However, result of karma can be modified by other karma that I have described earlier. Particular karma, which may be wholesome or unwholesome, may have its result strengthened by supportive karma, weakened by obstructive karma, or even cancelled by destructive karma. So, result of karma can be delayed if condition is unfavorable, and that delay may give chance for obstructive or destructive karma to operate. So this is the summary of law of karma that is important. Then I would like to explain about the relationship between karma, death, and rebirth. The unenlightened individuals are born to samsara, are bound to samsara, which is the process of dying and rebirth, which will continue until the condition that causes. These are ignorance, avijja, and craving, tanha, cease or stop. When they do, instead of being reborn, individual gradually attain a state called nibbana or nirvana. And this is the final goal or ultimate goal of every Buddhist. The most important factor influencing where we will be born and what kind of life we shall have is Kamma. There are 31 planes of existence or Bhum into which one can be reborn. For example, heaven, human, animals, hungry ghosts or beta, hell, etc. As Kamma depend on avijja, tanha, including upadana. Beings who still have this destruction will accumulate Kamma and undergo death and rebirth. So the next question is, what is death in Buddhism? Death is termination of physical, mental, or rupa nama combination of beings. In this state, there are dissolution of life facility, heat, and consciousness. But it's not complete extinction of beings. Although lifespan ended, Kamma potentials are not destroyed. They still exist and move into the new life. In this state also, there is a continuous fading of last consciousness, so-called dying consciousness or juti citta. Then what is rebirth in Buddhism? Rebirth is a part of endless process of changes, a continuation of life after death. Rebirth joy or link new existence with the old one. The most important factor, but not the only one, that influences rebirth is actually Kamma. In addition, citta or consciousness of a person during death is also a contributing factor for rebirth. In case that there is no reproductive Kamma, if citta of a dying person is wholesome, rebirth will take place in happy existence. If citta of dying person is unwholesome, rebirth will take place in unhappy existence. I will elaborate the transition of death to rebirth. During dying, thought process just before death, what we call chavana process, which is very fast and short-lived manipulation of stream of citta and Kamma will operate. This process is very important as it is determined juti citta and Kamma potential for next life. In chavana process, juti citta that is conditioned by reproductive Kamma or conditioned by sign of Kamma nimitta, which is the seeing of the past karma that the person had done in the past, or sign of destiny, kati nimitta, seeing the past that he will reborn in advance. And these two karma happen just before death. And they occur, and Judith at this stage is the last thought moment in the present life of a dying person. Importantly, transition of death to rebirth takes place immediately. In Buddha teachings, Buddha told that there is no intermediate state or antara bhava between death and rebirth. So, in order to be reborn, being with craving for existence must die somewhere. And after death, Rajuti Citta pass away, and new consciousness, so-called rebirth consciousness or Patisanti Citta, immediately arise in new beings. Then Patisanti Citta pass away, and subsequent Citta arise one after another in a stream which inherit all past Kamma potential. This stream of Citta, together with new Rupa Nama combinations, regenerates in fertilized eggs of someone. These are essential factors for rebirth. The process of rebirth is established only when three conditions are met. These are, firstly, mother and father must unite or have sexual relationship. In this case, father provides sperm and mother provides eggs or ovum. Secondly, mother is in proper period of menstruation. The ovum is ripe. If not, fertilization will not take place. Thirdly, what we call being to be born or kantapa is present. This is a stream of citta and kamma potential of a dead person, a flow of mind that is ready to take rebirth. And the term for this is being to be born or kantapa. Parents only provide cellular material in rebirth process in the case of humans, beings, and animals. But not all beings require parents for their rebirth. There are some beings that are born or reborn spontaneously, depending on their Dhamma, what we call Opapatika Patisanti. For example, Deva, Brahma, sinner in the hell, Peta or hungry ghosts, and Asurakaya or demons. These beings born spontaneously without parents. The important question is how rebirth takes place. At instant or the time that death occurs, and I tell you earlier, Rajuti Citta passed away, and new mental process called Patisanti Citta, which conditioned mainly by reproductive karma, arise in someone fertilized eggs. together with three Kamma produced material groups, including body, sex, and mind, which is called Hattiya Wattu. They are collectively termed as being to be born and unite with fertilized eggs to develop materials and mental process of embryo, now called a being in conventional sense. Embryo develop into fetus, and at time of newborn delivery, process of rebirth is complete. And this is the summarized sequence of rebirth process, In this case, the old existence is human being. When human being die, the body or rupa is disintegrated. But the immaterial path and kamma or nama it still exists. And these incorporate into the process, the thought process, so-called shavana process, with give rise to juti, citta, and kamma potentials. These juti, citta, and kamma potential link to a new being and generate patisanti citta and kamma produce material groups. And this entity will unite with fertilized eggs and then develop further into embryo and then fetus. This is the combination of physical body or rupa with mental body or nama. Fetus develop further, and at full term, fetus will be delivered into the outer worlds, what we call rebirth, and become new existent. In this case, humans or animals. So you can see that the process of rebirth is quite complicated. And the major determinant is kamma. Rebirth is sufferings. Why? According to Buddha teachings, everything in the world is suffering. Everything in the world is sufferings. Whatever is impermanence is sufferings. So this should include all things in the world. Even when you are enjoy yourself, you having good relationship or having sensual pleasures. These pleasures are considered as suffering or dukkha. So actually, rebirth is the starting point of sufferings. To be reborn as a new being in any plane of existence, as I have told you earlier, for example, as celestial beings, they were human beings or animals, is sufferings. So the next question is why rebirth is sufferings? This is due to the main Buddha teachings, so-called paticca samuppada or dependent originations. This law implies that everything comes into existence is depending on an instant previous to it, of course. And everything must also give rise to an instance depending on itself or effect. So this is a cycle of cause and effect. And continuation of cause and effect lead to sufferings. Let me explain more. The starting point, of course, is ignorance that will go through several steps of cause and effect, and then lead to cravings, tanha, and then attachment, upatan, and then existence, bhava, which is the continuity of life process, which is motivated by kamma, and then to rebirth or chati, and finally to aging and death, chara, morana, which is decaying and death, including sorrow, crying, pain, grief, and despair, which are suffering. So, and how can we stop that suffering? Cessation of suffering can be achieved gradually through practice of Noble Eightfold Path or Ariya Atangika Pakha. And these are interdependent 8 steps of practice that remove suffering and lead to Nibbana. What are they? Noble Eightfold Path, which is a practice on a path to liberation, contain 3 categories of practice, namely wisdom, panya, ethical conduct or moral discipline, sila, and then concentration or mental discipline. These 3 categories are subdivided into 8 successive factors of practice, namely right view or samma ditti, right intentions or samma sankappa, right speech or samma vaca, right action or samma kammanta, right livelihood or samma avisha, right effort or samma vayama, right mindfulness or samma sati, and finally, right concentration or samma samadhi. These 8 steps must be practiced in succession and require the insight into the Buddha teachings. In fact, this was designed by Buddha for noble person or Ariya Bukkala. If you practice this while you are noble person, you have a chance to remove all suffering and enter into Nibbana. And this topic, I will I will explain in details. And this is the topic for the next session on next Sunday. So let me conclude this session with this. Thank you for your attention. Sadhu, 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 anumodhami. So I have finished my lecture. Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Much merits to you, sir. Thank you very much. Much merits to you, sir. Thank you very much for taking today's session.
You have to cross my screen, right?
Yes, it's okay. Okay, sir. We will have a question and answer session now.
Okay.
All the people that are in the chat, we are allowing you to unmute yourself and then ask question, but please raise your hand and then we will make you go one at a time. Max and Wankhede, please go ahead.
Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya. Thank you very much for explaining the process. In one of the presentation, you have shown the process of forming an embryo and the fetus forming. The medical science today also don't have any answers from where the heartbeat comes to the fetus. Can you please elaborate this? Like what happens? Like how Namarupa chooses the mother or father, or what is the process of that?
The process of what? Sorry.
The process of this Chutisandhi is getting formed, right? And it enters into the embryo or the womb of mother, right?
You mean the process of fertilization, right?
And after fertilization, when the heartbeats come into the fetus, what is that point? Like, what is how Namrupa chooses the womb of mother, or he chooses father?
Okay, that's a very good question. Nama Rupa, Nama from the dead person will transfer the Kamma potential to the new beings. And the question about the formations of embryos after fertilization is a kind of the scientific questions. Briefly.
Yeah, it has both angles. I mean, spiritual angle as well as a scientific angle.
Sorry, pardon.
To me, it has both angles, scientific angle as well as a spiritual angle. In terms of like choosing the womb of mother is something where the medical science do not have any answers.
In fact, Buddha teachings and medical science is something go in parallels. Buddha explains three of happenings after fertilization. There will from various organs or various development in the series. And in medical science, we know that after fertilization, we are kind of cell divisions into 2, 4, 8, and so on to become embryos, and that embryo will let's say implant into the uterus of their mothers and develop more into mature embryo or fetus. And this is quite a long process, which require maybe a long time to explain. And I don't have what we call the actual explanation right now. I have to get back and search and study more. That I can tell you, I can answer you the questions. But Nama is it something like the imprint or the templates for new beings in terms of character, in terms of habit, in terms of many things. So anyone has better answer than mine?
We have Bhante civilly on the call. Bhante, do you want to take a stab at it?
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Sure, yeah. Bhante, are you there?
Yes, yes, I'm there. Can you please on my camera?
Yes, Bante. You can start your camera, Bante.
Thank you so much. How are you, Mr.? How are you? That's what his name.
His name
How
is
are you, sir?
Surachai.
Yeah, Surachai, how are you?
Oh, fine,
Did you
thank you. And how
Did
are you?
Did you
I have-
recognize me
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
after
From
a long time?
yeah, Tabatina session. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. It's a pleasure. So I have two questions. First of all, you use the word transformation when the before the person who asked about the heart basis, how it generate in the womb, in the womb. So I want you to clarify the word transformation. When you are saying the word transformation, so what is the process? Should we take it as a sansaran? Because in Buddhism, sansaran is not allowed. It considered as a wrong dicty. So please clear that the meaning of transformation, because when someone use that word transformation, so we conceive the meaning as it is leaving the body and transferring to another body. So please clear that meaning of transformation. And the second question I want to ask is about the heart base. The formation of a heart base. I want to,
right?
yes.
Hadaya Vattu, I think.
Hidaya Vattu.
So your question is finished, right?
Yes, only two questions I have at present.
Maybe I use the term transformation inaccurately, because if what the term used to explain the transformation of one person into a new person, we call it incarnations, not rebirth. Someone may think about if someone die and their soul, what do you call the souls or soul, will transform into the new body. And this is called incarnation, which is not the expression for rebirth. So I may use the term incorrectly. I'm sorry for that. In Buddhism, only immaterial path, Kamma and Citta is linked from the dead person to the new beings, not their soul. And the next question is, Hatiyawatu is a base for every kind of feelings in new beings, and it contains, I think, maybe more than 8 or 10 Hatiyawatu in Buddhism, but I cannot remember all of them. I'm sorry for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Surachai ji. And can you please share your line number with me, or in
Yeah,
this? Okay.
Yeah, I will. I think we have a connection with line.
No, I don't have your line number. Can you please share
Right now?
No. You can share later or to the. So
Bante, I will work to get that to you, Bante. Yeah.
Yes. और वो जिन्होंने पहला सवाल पूछा था ना कि वो हार्ट बीट कैसे जनरेट होता है, तो he can message me. वो मुझे मैसेज कर सकता है, मैं उन्हें बता दूंगा. Okay.
So your name Ante Sivali. Okay. Sivali. Okay. Did you have Facebook, right?
Yes, I have Facebook.
Okay, I will contact you by Facebook.
Thank you very much, sir. Jagannath Venkatramaiah, sir, please go ahead with your question.
Namo Bodhaya, Jai Bhim. Pankajji, Brother Pankajji, thank you very much. I have put my questions in the chat box, but nevertheless, I want to be very crisp and ask respected teacher. First question, as a student of diploma in Buddhism, 2000 in the COVID times, I did learn little of Chitta. My question is, we are fortunate that the most enlightened Arahant Buddha showed us how to make it scientific thinking, interpret things and all. We are greatly benefited. The question is very simple. As a upasaka in the daily life, we have so many physical difficulties, it could be climate change, it could be biodiversity, it could be pandemic, and many more biological, disasters coming. My simple question is, anybody will ask you this question. If Buddhist theology gives us such a wonderful interpretation, science is validating independently. You see, anything becomes science when you validate.
Yeah.
There are many issues. There are very many issues. I want to know which universities in the world today are offering independent studies on birth and rebirth and the Buddhist theology in a perfect way, if not perfect way, an approach rather, so that anybody interested in the research can look into it. I want to conclude by saying that I'm a spaceman. 60 years ago, space scientist, you see, I worked for 32.5 years for space. See, that 60 years back, if anybody asked about remote sensing, they would have laughed. What is remote sensing? But today, from 40 lakh kilometers Mars, you are getting photos of the Mars planet. See, what I want to conclusively say that there should be some hub of research which tests, validates, and tells this is independent verification we are doing for birth and rebirth. You see, that will make a well of a difference. Because, see, having a good understanding of Buddhism, living a good life. But Goenkaji was very right. The cell pulsates millions of times a second. And if you have a Dhamma, we are happy. And again, I'm concluding my discussion with you with a simple question. Which university in the world has got a platform for researchers to work on this birth and rebirth, so that, you see, the mystic world is destroying the whole population in all religions, making things, in an unscientific way, not making the mind liberated. You see, very important is mind liberation. I'm sorry for taking so much time. I think this is very important. Please, thank you.
Okay. I think this is not a question, it's a comment, right?
Leave it to you.
Good comment.
Thank you very much. Thank you. But it was a very good presentation. It was very convincing. I think we should take it seriously. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to
Thank you very much, sir. Your next question is from Ayan, and he put the question into the chat window. He wanted more explanation on the Javana Chitta process, and I'm assuming that is at the Chuti Chitta time. So can you please elaborate a little more on the Javana process at the Chuti Chitta time?
Oh, that's a very big question. In fact, Chitta is very brief. The time of one Chitta that happened is shorter than the lightnings. So, in 1 minute, there are more than 1,000, not even million Chitta that happen. So the process of Shavana Chitta is composed of a series of Chitta that happen and pass away. New Chitta happen and pass away. Like this, in terms of maybe 1 million times in one process, and I cannot remember all citta that happened in Chavana citta, but maybe more than 10, maybe 19. Oh, I cannot remember the number, the exact number. But Chavana citta or Chavana process, it's very important in many types of scenarios in Buddhism. Maybe at the dying period or the dying times, or in the timing of rebirth, and in other kinds of happening. So I cannot give you exact detail of how many citta happen in Chavana process, but I will study and tell you more maybe next week.
In
you.
addition to that, sorry to interrupting.
Yes, Bhante.
In addition to that, as the जिन्होंने पूछा है, he can understand in Hindi.
I'm not sure, sir. Maybe he does.
Yeah. तो जो जवन चित्त की उन्होंने जो बात की है, देखो जो जवन चित्त होता है यह व्यक्ति के विपाक के लिए ज्यादा जिम्मेदार होता है ना। जवन चित्त के आधार पर ही व्यक्ति का विपाक तय होता है कि व्यक्ति का विपाक कितना प्रभावशाली होगा, मतलब वो जो फल उसे प्राप्त होगा, जो उसने कर्म किया, जो उसे फल प्राप्त होगा, कितने समय के अंदर प्राप्त होगा, ये जवन चित्त के आधार पर होगा। तो पूरे चित्त विधि में 17 चित्त क्षण होते हैं। उन 17 चित्त क्षणों में 7 बार जवन घूमता है ना। और ये 7 बार जवन चित्त घूमता है, तो इसके आधारों पर तय होता है कि फल कब मिलेगा। अगर ये अच्छी तरीके से घूमा तो आपको फल 7 दिनों के अंदर भी प्राप्त हो सकता है और 6 महीने के अंदर भी। अगर 6 महीनों के अंदर प्राप्त नहीं होता है तो 1 साल बाद प्राप्त होगा। इस 1 साल में वो कभी भी प्राप्त नहीं होगा, 1 साल बाद भी प्राप्त होगा। और भी एक है कि इस बार इस जन्म में प्राप्त होगा ही नहीं, आपको अगले जन्म में प्राप्त होगा, नहीं तो फिर वो प्राप्त होगा ही नहीं, अहोसी कर्म बन जाएगा। इसके अलावा जिस प्रकार से अगर हम कोई सेब खाते हैं तो सेब खाने के बाद हम सेब का जब स्वाद लेते हैं ना, तो जो स्वाद लेना जो है वो अगर हमें उदाहरण से समझना है तो वो स्वाद लेना मतलब जवन चित्त हो गया। मतलब किसी भी कर्म में आनंद लेना, किसी भी कर्म को टेस्ट करना, उसमें आसक्त हो जाना, मतलब जवन चित्त होता है। आई होप ये गेट। और ये जवन चित्त नॉर्मली 7 बार होता है, पर मृत्यु के समय में ये जवन चित्त सिर्फ 5 बार घूमता है और ये बहुत ही फास्ट होता है, ठीक है। और यही आपका कर्म फॉर्मेशन बनाता है जवन चित्त।
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bhante. The next question is from Praveen Taide. Please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you, Pankaj da. Namo Buddhaya Jai Hind. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I have 2 questions. Basically, the first question is like how to differentiate between vipaka and the natural action. Suppose if I'm in day-to-day life, like every day we come across situation wherein like we're walking on the street and meeting an accident, like hitting an object or falling down, and then it takes you to the hospital, and for a longer time we get bedridden kind of thing. So is it a vipaka of a previous karma, or it is just like a negligence that we happen in a situation wherein like hitting an object where you don't know like what is happening, so by mistake things happen, or is it like a planned activity wherein a vipaka of your previous karma? So my question is like, is every result is a action or result of a karma, or is it something like a few things are there which are happening naturally like because of a negligence? So is it a differentiation between that, or is it result of or is it a vipak? This is my first question.
I'm sorry, I cannot catch your questions. Please repeat that.
Yeah, let me try to summarize it, Surachai.
Yes.
So his question basically is, everything happening to a particular person in his day-to-day life, is it because everything is coming as a vipaka to him, or there are additional factors also playing a role in the day-to-day life that are happening with him? Is it always the vipaka which is making things happen to a person?
Or according to Buddha teachings, everything that happens should have the cause or kamma. So I think that what happened in our daily lives is the result of our kamma, maybe in the past life or earlier. And what is the second question? I cannot catch.
Yeah. Praveen, please go ahead with your second question.
Yes, sir. The second question would be like, when we say 200 years back, when Bodhisattva Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar was not there, my forefather was living a very bad life, like because of casteism in India. So one sect of people was treated like an animal. And when Bodhisattva came, now my life is completely changed, not just mine, because other people also living very good life. So is it thing that my action or kamma was better than my forefather, because they have suffered a lot? That time the the, the result should be like, when we say kamma and vipaka. So what is the thing that I have did in my past that I am getting good life, and what is the effect that my forefather was living very bad life? So is it because of Bodhisattva's presence, or it is because of my kamma?
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Let me again try to.
Yeah. Thank you.
answer
I
the
cannot catch this question.
Yeah. So the kamma are the social aspects in life. Anything that is being run like a social aspect, right? Are they part of the kamma theory, or kamma only acts to a particular person, individual person based? So that would be a part of it, because he's trying to ask the question in reference to his grandparent and his grandparent's situation and his situation. So he's trying to see is like, what is the conditions or kamma that his grandparents did were bad because of their own kamma, or is it a social situation, or what is the good that he did that he's living a better life than his grandparents? So the simple question would be, will kamma act on individual person, or will it act on a social aspect? More than one person, can a kamma react to more than one person to make it a social situation?
Pankajji, it's also continuity what is being in the question. I think, I'm sorry for intervening, Frederick Engels was right, you see, when he said only human societies have control over production and distribution. Our Upasaka friend question is very right. My father was living difficult life. I am living better life. It is all because of the human control over production and distribution. Only human species can do. I think Buddha to me is relevant here because it is Buddha who said, you liberate your mind by going seriously into your unhappiness and miseries by making an effort. You see, that's very important. Maybe my father, as a primary school teacher, he had a lot of problems, but he had efforts to keep us education. I think it's very difficult to link the previous Kamma theory to present day's benefits. I think this is what I understand. I may be wrong, but Frederick Engels was right. As on today, we are living, whether in America or India, the control over production and distribution is the essence of human societies. No other animal species has got this capacity. I'm sorry for intervening. I thought I said chip in. Thank you.
So I think we'll try to take this question next time, because it kind of took a very broad sense of
very important, correct.
Yeah, with the distribution that you are trying to link to. We are trying to be, there are a couple of more questions and we are already kind of a little late. So I'm trying to cover these last two questions. The next question is, in Paticca Samutpada, the link Vijnana Pachaya Nama Rupa is there. And he wanted to understand how Vijnana can how vijnana can result and generate rupa. I think this may be a little out of the way topic and maybe more related towards our next week's topic. But I'll leave it to you, Surachai sir, how you wanted to go about this question.
In fact, I had a lecture on Paticca Samuppada, but I think I will keep that for maybe the next Sunday. So Paticca Samuppada is very complicated and hard to understanding. I think, let me tell you frankly, I do not a qualified person to explain in details about each step of Paticca Samuppada, but let me have time to study and search more answer, and I will give you a better answer maybe next Sunday.
Thank you very much, sir. And I'm trying to get one more question here, which is again into the chat window. What could be the reason for unexpected abortion of fetus in the womb? How a mother can overcome such situation? How she should keep the things normally?
You do ask about abortion, right?
Yeah, sometimes I think what she's trying to indicate is that sometimes the body itself will abort the fetus. What could be the reason for that?
And what is the question?
And the second question is how should the mother deal with it or overcome with such situation?
I think after fertilization and develop into embryo, in terms of social law or law, the killing of fetus or embryo is considered murder or panatipata. Oh no, murders, living entities. But in terms of Buddhism, I don't have the conclusion that at which stage of the rebirth that should be considered as a living beings. As I have told you that embryo is considered as the living beings. It's just the approximations. I don't know the exact spot of becoming a new bodies, but in terms of law or regulations, after becoming embryo, that it's alive. And if you kill the embryo, you will be charged as a murderer.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, sir. And I'm trying to read through. Jagannath, sir, you had, I'm sorry, I missed your earlier question. Did you get a chance to ask your questions?
No, I'm convinced about the introduction given on the topic birth and rebirth. There are some very sensitive issues like how do we interpolate the life today and the life tomorrow. See, that is a thing which is not having a ready-made answer. But one good thing is Buddhist philosophy gives us a way out. You see, all other religions, they may mystify Atma, Paramatma, and so many things. And at the ends at that. And today teacher was very, very, teaching was extremely useful. I'm very convinced about the foundation. There are many questions that can be taken up in the subsequent sessions. Kindly share use email ID if possible. That would be great, you see.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks for your comments. I think we are over about 15 minutes from our time. I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to thank Surachai sir for his presentation on Kamma, rebirth and suffering. And we will have a second series to this one, which is going to be the cessation of suffering that is going to be concluded next week. So with that, I wanted to take the session towards conclusion.
Pardon, sir.
Bhante,
May I
can
ask
you
One day I
can you
should
please
try.
do the?
pardon? May I ask one question, please?
I think who is this?
Me, Ramadulal.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah, this would be the last one. Please go ahead.
थैंक यू सर मैं थोड़ा सा हिंदी भी बोलती हूँ ओके
नहीं तो उनको थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होगा मैडम.
मैं इंग्लिश में ही बोलूंगी ट्राई करूंगी ओके when we born our body goes to the in pancha tattva soil air water and in pancha tattva I say that पर हमारा आत्मा जो है ना वो तो ब्रह्मलोक में चला जाता है हैं फिर जो हम रीबर्थ कहते हैं ना वो आत्मा का रीबर्थ होता है कि क्या है क्योंकि जब हमारा बर्थ होता है हमसे हमारा अगले जन्म का फल संस्कार जुड़ जाता है so I want to know what is rebirth.
So I think
She's from Nepal. She's from
also.
different culture. She's from Hindu culture. That's why she
Yeah,
has
yeah,
a conception of Atma.
Yes.
So basically he tried to explain in English earlier in his whole session कि वहां पे कोई भी आत्मा जैसी कोई चीज नहीं है जो पास ऑन हो रहा है एक लाइफ से दूसरे लाइफ में वो दो चीजें है एक है आपका एक कम्म का विपाक जो कि कंक्लूजन होता है सब आपके अब तक के कम्मों का और दूसरी चीज है चित्त जिसको उन्होंने पटी संधि चित्त कहा है और जो पास ऑन हो रहा है वो च्युति चित्त है और जब वो जाके दूसरे बॉडी के साथ जुड़ जाता है उसे पटी संधि चित्त कहा है तो ये चित्त पास ऑन हो रहा है आत्मा जैसी कोई चीज बुद्धिज्म में नहीं है ये उन्होंने कहा है इंग्लिश में तो आप जो भी थियोरी बता रही है तो दैट डजंट वो इसके साथ नहीं जुड़ रही है अभी
ठीक है स्वामी जी
ठीक है सर मैडम जी हाँ थैंक यू वेरी मच
थैंक यू सर थैंक यू
yeah and there are other questions too we will make this presentation available so एक group में हम ready हो जाने के बाद we will put it on the YouTube for everybody to review again but that is how he explained it and he was very clear in stating that what get passed on from previous life to the next life is related only to these two things, Kamma and Chitta. And there is no such thing like soul. So that is what was mentioned here. Thank you very much. We are kind of running behind on time. I wanted to ask Bhante to please do Anumodana for today's session and lead us to the conclusion. Bhante Sivali, if you could do us the honors, please.
Sure. First of all, we are really the Upasak who have attained this. They all are so thankful of your Sundar Surai sir. We all are so thankful that you have given you such a precious time. And we are looking forward for your next session on this topic and for the further slides. At this age, you are giving such a good time, not to Thai peoples, but to Indian peoples and the peoples who are residing in America. So we all are so thankful to giving you such a precious time and really so thankful to the ANA organization. They are organizing such a good talk for the Indian peoples and for the peoples who are residing in out of nation. And yes, this is all. And thanks. We are so thankful to every participant who have attended today's lecture. Sadhuvat to one and everyone who is present in this session. and try to attend every lecture of the ANA. They organized in every Sunday, so please try to attend. And at the end, I like to anumodit with the anumodana with the Buddha's gatha. So please join your hands and try to bless it. Ichitang pachitang tummang kippameva samijatu sabbe purentu chitta sankappa chando pannuraso yata mani jyoti raso yata abhivadana silassa nichang vadda pacha ino chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukhang balanti.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Looking forward, Surachai. Sir.
I will send a copy of my presentation to you.
Sure, sure.
Through line, so you can distribute this to everyone who interested in my presentation.
Yes.
And thank you for your attention.
It's a pleasure, sir.
I'm very happy.
Thank you very much, Surachai, sir.
Can I leave now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we will conclude our session today, right now, for everybody. Namo Buddhaya. We'll see you again next week in the same session, same time. Thank you, sir.